So the hippocampus is one of the part of the limbic system which is important for memory and also learning. So this hippocampal region is also present in our brain. Then coming to the limbic system. So it is a group of structures that includes the inner part of the cerebral hemispheres. So the limbic system includes the amygdala and also the hippocampus. So the important controlling and also emotional response to a given situation, and this limbic system, it is important. The limbic system plus hypothalamus involved in the regulation of sexual behavior, expression of emotions such as pleasure, rage, fear, etc. All these are under the control of the limbic system. Then coming to the next one, the midbrain. It is located, already I discussed about the midbrain. It is located between the hypothalamus of the forebrain and the pons of the hindbrain. The dorsal portion of the midbrain consists of 4 round swellings. Those are called as corpora quadrigemina. The function includes eye movement, body movement, vision, audition, etc. All these are the functions of this midbrain. Then coming to the next aspect, the brain stem. The midbrain and hindbrain forms the brain stem. Midbrain and hindbrain forms the brain stem. So what is the function of this brain stem, which includes the breathing, heart rate, and also it controls the blood pressure, etc. Then the hindbrain or then coming to the next aspect, the hindbrain, which includes the hindbrain, it includes the pons, cerebellum, and medulla. So the balance and posture of the body, it is maintained by the cerebellum. It is also divided into hemispheres and has a cortex that surrounds these hemispheres. The medulla connected to the spinal cord. Then coming to the next one, it controls respiration, cardiovascular reflections, and also gastric secretions. These are the functions of the hindbrain. Then coming to the next one, the reflex action. So what is this reflex action? Why this reflex action has a greater importance? So it is an involuntary, sudden action which is not under our control. But this sudden action, it also includes the information. It is going to be passed to the CNS, that it is your spinal cord. So the pathway through which this reflex action passes, what we will call it as a reflex arc. So it consists of definitely the sense organs consist of certain cells. Those are called as receptor cells, which are supplied with the nerve endings. So the information from the sense organ, it is collected by the receptor cells which are present in the sense organs by afferent nerve. Then it is passed on to the dorsal root. In between this dorsal root and also the information, it is passed through the sensory neuron and to the spinal cord. So no doubt, don't think that the information will be passed only to the spinal cord. From the spinal cord, again the information definitely goes to the brain. Through the sensor, definitely goes to the brain. So from the spinal cord, again in between this sensory neurons and motor neurons, you can find interneurons. These are also called as relay neurons also. So then it is through the motor neuron, it is passed on to the effector organ, whether it is the skin, gland, muscle, or whatsoever. So the sudden involuntary action, unconscious, involuntary, sudden action which takes place in our body. Take for example, in 10th class you might have studied, whenever you see a foodstuff or if any intense light falls into the eyes, immediately our eyes gets closed, and also that it is called as then whenever we see any foodstuff, our mouth starts watering. That is what we will call it as salivary reflex, it is called as. So all these are takes place the process of response to a stimulus that occurs involuntary, what we will call it as reflex action. Reflex action. So then coming to the so, coming to the structure of eye, if you see, we have a pair of eyeballs located in the orbit of the skull. This is called as orbits. So, in this orbit, you can find the eyeballs are present. These are the organs of vision, you know well. And this eyeball, it is surrounded by 3 layers. Outermost one, what we will call it as a sclera. Below this sclera, you can find the choroid membrane. And innermost one, what we will call it as a retina. So this sclera continues forward towards the front of the eye to form the so-called as the cornea. And this choroid layer, so it is thickened towards 2/3 and then afterwards it will become thinner and it is going to become ciliary body. So this further continues to form the so-called as iris. The iris, it is the pigmented part of our eye. You can find a small pore-like structure in between this iris. Okay. So then coming to the next one. Below this, you can find the innermost layer. It is called as a retina. And this retina consists of photoreceptor cells. So here what it happens, the ciliary body, it holds the lens which are present in our eye. And this lens, it focuses the light which comes from the cornea and it passes through this iris and it enters into the lens, and this lens focuses the light which comes from the object, and so that the image it is going to get formed. So from the eye, the nerve fiber which arises, that what we will call it as a optic nerve. So this optic nerve, and also you can find a spot called as a blind spot, and also an yellow spot is also present, which is also called as macula lutea, and then the cross section of the eye, retina, the cross section of retina. The retina, just now I told, it consists of photoreceptor cells, and this photoreceptor cells consists of ganglion cells and also bipolar cells, etc. And this also consists of a pigment called as the cells which are present, these photoreceptor cells, it consists of rods and cones. Rods consists of then coming to the next one, retina enclosed. If you see, this is the section of retina. Then coming to the structure of eye. So whatever I told, 3 layers are present: sclera, choroid and retina. The anterior portion of sclera, what we will call it as cornea. The choroid layer forms the ciliary body, iris and pupil. And the retina contains 3 layers of cells. Those are called as ganglion cells, bipolar cells, photoreceptor cells. This photoreceptor cells consist of rods and cones. These rods and cones consist of photoreceptor pigments. Photopigments, what we call it as rhodopsin and iodopsin. There are 3 types of cones are present, that is which respond to the colors red, green and blue, the primary colors. In some individuals they suffer from the so-called red-green color blindness, it is also present. Blind spot, it is an area, just now I told, where the optic nerve innervates nerve tube and blood vessels will enter. And also one more pigment called as, one more area it is present, fovea, it is present in yellowish pigmented spot called as macula lutea. So this fovea contains only cones which highest visual activity, highest resolution will be there in case of fovea. Then coming to the mechanism of vision, just now I told the light rays passes through the cornea, lens focuses these light rays and light rays falls upon the retina and it causes changes in these rods and cones where these pigments are going to opsin and retinol, these are the photopigments, gets dissociates, resulting in the change of opsin structure, and because of that the membrane permeability is going to get changed, which results in the potential difference. So this potential difference which is generated in the photoreceptor cells and in the form of this action potential, it is passed on to the ganglion cells through the bipolar cells, finally to the optic nerve. From the optic nerve, it is passed on to the visual cortex of the brain, where the image is recognized and based on the earlier memory and experience, then we will come to know. So whatever the object which we are seeing, is it the kind of object, the image it is going to get formed, we can see it, we can visualize it. So this is about the mechanism of functioning of eye. So then coming to the next one, the ear. Ear performs two sensory functions. One is hearing, another one is maintain balance of the body. So the three major sections of the ear, it is there, what we will call it as external ear, middle ear, and also internal ear, what we will call outer ear. It consists of pinna and auditory meters and also the sebaceous glands. So you can see, I can explain it through the diagram. So the middle ear consists of three minute bones, those are called as ear ossicles, malleus, incus and stapes. And this stapes is attached to the oval window of cochlea. Cochlea, what we will call it as a membranous labyrinth. Cochlea, bony labyrinth and membranous labyrinth comes under internal ear. So the stapes is attached to the oval window of the cochlea. Eustachian tube connects the middle ear cavity with the pharynx, which equalizes the pressure on either side of the eardrum. So if you see carefully, in case of ear, what I am speaking now, so the external ear and also the so-called as ear pinna, what we will call it as ear pinna, this is called as auditory meters, what you can say. This one is tympanic membrane, we call it as eardrum. You can find your malleus, incus, stapes, hammer, anvil, stirrup. These are the three bone ossicles which constitute the middle ear. Then comes to the internal ear, you can find a water spring-like structure. This is called as cochlea, and also three semicircular canals are present. All these we call it as membranous labyrinth. It is placed in the bony structure, what we will call it as a bony labyrinth. This bony labyrinth and membranous labyrinth together, what we will call it as internal ear. So the auditory nerve which connects and which takes the impulses from this cochlea. So then coming to the next aspect, if you see the section of this ear, the internal ear, you can find the fluid which is present in the labyrinth, what we will call it as endolymph. Around the labyrinth you can find the perilymph. So it is dividing the internal ear into scala vestibuli, scala tympani. It is being divided. So within this internal ear you can find the so-called endolymph, it is present. Then so bony labyrinth, internal ear consists of two parts, bony labyrinth and membranous labyrinth. Fluid, what we will call as endolymph, outside you can find the perilymph. The coiled portion of the labyrinth, the arch spring-like structure, it is called as cochlea. Space above this is what we will call it as scala media and scala vestibuli. Below you can find scala tympani. Organ of Corti, it is located on the basal membrane, contains hair cells which acts as auditory receptors. Above these hair cells, you can find the tectorial membrane. Internal ear also consists of vestibular apparatus above cochlea, semicircular canals and otolith, saccule and utricle, it is also present. So you can see, so this is called as scala vestibuli, and what we can say, the tectorial membrane here, the ear it is called as organ of Corti. So the nerve which is arising, what we will call it as a scalar cochlear nerve. So here you can find organ of Corti. Below region it is called as a scalar tympanic. So on the basilar membrane you can find the organ of Corti and the tectorial membrane. So whenever it receives the stimulus, so the information because of they will be pulled against this tectorial membrane. Okay, let me go on. The projected part of the semicircular canal, the swollen part, what we will call it as crista ampullaris, having hair cells are present. Sacule and utricle contains a projecting ridge, that what we will call it as macula. Crista and macula are the specific receptors of vestibular apparatus and for balance and posture of body. So the mechanism of hearing, the sound waves are directed towards the ear. So our external ear, it acts like a trumpet. So the whatever sound waves we are receiving, it has been concentrated, and the waves that enter the canal and concentrated and made to strike against the tympan. The vibrations are picked up by the middle ear bones, that is mesh, malleus, incus and stapes, and these vibrations are transmitted to the fenestra ovalis via incus and also the stapes. The vibration then strikes the oval window and they are amplified 22 times more than those that strike the tympan. Then these vibrations travel along the vestibular canal to the end of the cochlea and then to the tympanic canal. Then vibrations are transmitted via Reisner's membrane to the basilar membrane and then to the tympanic canal. From the basilar membrane, the vibrations are picked up by the sensory hair cells of the organ of Corti and it is transmitted as action potential to the neurons of the auditory nerve fibers. These action potentials then transmitted as nerve impulses to the cerebral cortex, that what we will call it as auditory cortex by means of auditory nerve. Then the cerebral cortex decides the kind of sound which we are hearing. So this is about the mechanism of hearing. Thank you.